Come and stand in the middle of the mat then. Do you remember last week we did a few little mudras? I'll put them in again this week. So we'll start with prana. So the two fingers at the front, two long fingers, they go nice and long, stretch them out, and everything else just touches, so the thumb and the two little fingers touch. Prana is this idea of life force, life energy, breath. You can imagine that kind of coming in through these fingertips, running up through the body. Generally, we think about prana running up and down the spine, and we think about the left side being the feminine energy and the right side being the masculine energy. So if you're feeling a bit unbalanced in any way, you can kind of maybe focus on one side more than the other. Shoulders relaxed, tuck the pelvis under 10 times, so pull in pelvic floor, pull in on TVA, and then a slow release. Okay, and in, and out, and in, and out. Try not to hold the breath, and in, and out. So just looking forwards, and in, and out, and in, and out, and in, and out. 5 more, in, and out, and in. Nice slow release, and out, and in, and out. 2 more, and in, and out, and in. Then release it to halfway, so it's not so much that it's taking all your concentration up. Release the fingers, a bit of a shake. Let's just go to the shoulders, because we can hold a lot of tension in the shoulders. So squeeze the shoulders up to the ears, and then just release. So it's a big kind of shoulder shrug, bit of a squeeze, and release. As you lift your shoulders up, try to remember the TVA pelvic floor, because sometimes when we lift shoulders, we kind of lose core. So nice big squeeze and release. And if you feel like it, you could just go, ah. Couple more. Keeping the pelvis tucked under. So now we're going to go shoulders forwards, and then go shoulders back. And you can use your palms here, so you can turn your palms, touch the side of your legs as you go forwards, and then as you take your shoulders back, turn the palms to the sides. And the kind of neck can get a bit of a workout here, because you might think about looking up when the shoulders go back, and then looking down, chin down to chest as the shoulders go down. And now again, notice that particularly when the shoulders go up, what happens with the core, because sometimes shoulders up, we're looking up, we just lose that connection with that pelvic floor and that TVA. Maybe you feel, I mean, if you've had a bit of a crappy day, maybe your shoulders have been down. Maybe when your shoulders go down, you notice your chest getting a little bit of stretch when your shoulders go up and back. So just take your time, kind of stretch through that. Adding in a little bit then, you can just circle the arms around, look up and baby back bend if it's comfortable, still engage with the core. And then as the shoulders go down, take a nice slow roll down. Soften the knees, and you can really bend the knees quite deeply with that. So think more about shoulders than hamstrings or anything else for now. And again, just looking up, opening chest. Then the shoulders just relaxed, folding down. Chin going towards chest, and the lower back gets a bit of a release. Shoulders back, lifting up. Last one, shoulders forwards. Centering then, just a couple of little circles with the shoulders, so just taking them through some of that range that we just gave them. Same that we did last week, it's the short neck release shoulder glide side bend. So one arm at level with your shoulder, take the ear down, drift that to the side, keep the hips still, arm up to the ceiling, and then over into your side bend. And then over to the other side. ear down, into your shoulder glide. Try and keep your hips still, reach up and side bend. And just start to flow through, kind of go in your own time room pace. If you're feeling a little bit tight anywhere, like your neck, you might want to take longer on the neck stretch. If you feel like you just get so much out the side bend, you want a little bit more, you could always just kind of really work into that side bend, pull the fingertips. So just kind of go with what you feel like you need. Keep thinking about that 50% core, working with the pelvic floor, still working with the TVA. Try not to hold the breath at any time. If you get a little bit lost with the breath, just try and think about breathing out into any type of extension, particularly side bend. Maybe taking a kind of long exhale and a side bend. This is one of my favourite moves. I actually only really do it in Pilates. I should do it just every day. I just think it's got so much in it. Last time, each side, your pace. Adding in a little bit for the side bend, you could always go for a little spiral, kind of chest to ceiling. So you can look up, think about the heart shining towards the ceiling. Hopefully you're kind of with me on your last one. Again, going maybe heart towards ceiling, a little bit of a spiral. And then finishing off, so a little bit of a shoulder shrug there. Do you know tennis players? A lot of tennis players do that when they reset themselves, ready to serve. They do. I think Djokovic does it. Just a little shoulder shrug. Okay, squats. Now you can put your weights into this if you want. I think I'm going to go weights today. Feet hip width apart. So hips back into space. I'm going to go front raise with the weights. Or lateral raise, so it's your choice, or you could do a bit of both. So one of each is quite nice, and then work through. Think about what's happening here with the knees, so don't let the knees pronate in. Keep an eye on what's happening under the feet, the arches. Think about kind of really sending the hips back into space to get the release on the lower back. Good coordination if you're doing the different arms. Try and keep the shoulders relaxed, especially if you're putting your weights in. Try and keep your shoulders down away from your ears. Eye gaze forwards. Slight change now, we're going to put in a bit of balance. So it's down into your squat, but you can take the weights just down and then reach the arms up and over and go up onto your toes. So there's your balance. Coming down into your squat and then round into your balance. And you find that you need to really use the pelvic floor. Squeeze the glutes as you do your balance. Breathe in as you lift. Breathing out when you do your squats. Last one. Okay, again a little bit of a shoulder circle. So, elbows tucked in, scapula set, with or without weights. If you think about what's happening with the wrist, try not to let this happen. So a little bit of tension, keep the tension there in the forearm. So strengthens through the wrist as well. Think about the elbows. So sometimes the elbows can go back or elbows forward. So really think about them being down, and that will come from the shoulders. So check your shoulders are not forwards or back. Well, a little bit back. Length at the back of the neck, but check that you're not dipping your chin forwards. So almost like imagine you're making a double chin. So a little bit of add in to some balance, just a little leg swing. I'll show you this one, forwards and back. So there's a little bit of work with balance. Just take the weight into one foot, and then just a gentle kind of swing with the leg. Not really even engaging the well, you see I feel a little bit in the glute, but it's not too much work here. It's just more working with balance. Engage pelvic floor. Then just swap legs again, just a little swing. Eye gaze forwards. Should feel the squeeze on the scapula, which is the backs of the shoulders. I always feel this a little bit from chest to shoulder as well, just where maybe I'm a little bit tight in there. Last one. So I did this one last week. Big star, and again with or without weights. Then bend one knee, take that hand down towards that foot, then up to your star. It's almost like a version of wood chopping, that move. Big star, down, touch the foot. Breathing in, think about widening the rib cage, but just be careful you don't arch the lower back. You keep the pelvis tucked under. You keep the length at the back of the neck when you come up to your star position. Stay strong again in the wrists, so we're not floppy wrists at the top, especially if you're holding onto your weights. Keep working with that in-breath at the top, pelvis tucked under. Oh, I just love the stretch here on the like kind of the inner thighs, really feels really good. 2 more. So hold a sumo squat, so really wide. You can allow the feet to turn out. Maybe a little wiggle side to side, just fine. Center, tuck pelvis under, pull in core. Now this is tricky with 2 weights, so I'm going to have a go. Draw a big circle in front. Now you might want to go with 1 weight. You can do this totally without. I'll show you sideways on as well. So you're drawing a circle in front and round. And you just want to go as wide and as big as you can with these circles, like you're drawing a really giant moon in front of you. Or sun. Maybe a sun, maybe that's nicer. Maybe that's depending on whether you're balancing your female or your masculine energy. Sun for male and masculine energy. Moon for feminine. Other way around if you haven't done so. You can always go lowering your squat as well if you want to test your legs. Oh, let's test everything actually. Woo, 2 more. Oh, this is probably one of my favourite moves with the weights at the moment. Whew. Okay, choice now. Okay, I'll give you the choice on this one. It's either a step back lunge, and you can do this with or without weights. So step back lunge, and you're going to do 20, 10 on each side and alternate. Or shoulder press to the deadlift and then swap over. And again, you can go for 20 of them, or if that feels, it's a bit harder to do so many on the deadlift, so maybe 16. Alternate on the deadlift. So your choice, if you feel like you desperately want to do both, 10 on each, 10 lunges, 10 deadlifts. Now, a couple of points I'll take you through, so you carry on with your exercises. If you're doing the lunge, really control what's happening with the hips, because you see a lot of people, they lunge and this whole hip drops down. So keep everything, the hips nice and square to your front, almost lifted, almost kind of pointing up like headlights. Think about the lower back being nice and strong, tuck the pelvis under, and then engage quad, particularly quad, engage the quad, control the knee on the left. So the lunge is very much about controlling what happens with the knee. If you're doing the deadlift exercise, again, the same thing, you're thinking about controlling the knee. It's a bit more work on balance, isn't it? Because the foot's going to wobble. Use your big toe to anchor your balance. Use your glutes. Use your pelvic floor. So I'm just gonna keep doing little tips until people finish on the screens, because see, I've completely lost count of what everyone's doing. So again, if you're on those lunges, really watch the knee, watch the hips, don't crumble. Keep lots of control. Think as well, like hip width, don't put things on balance beams if you're lunging. Okay, nice. I feel like people are coming together now. Maybe wait a couple more. The next exercise, again, is choice. It's a single leg squat exercise. So the choice is you can go on a step. So if you haven't done that one before, the stairs is really good. You have one foot on the stairs, the other foot off the stairs. You bend the knees so if you can touch your heel on the step below. That's one option. The other option, particularly good for knees, is to use a chair or a sofa. One leg's lifted, one's bent, and you're going to lift up, stand up with one leg and down. So whichever one, try and do 10 on each leg. You can alternate, so you can swap over each time. The other option, if you haven't got stairs, you haven't got a chair, is a bit boring though, that's the only thing I would say, is you can use a mat though. You can kind of stand in the middle of the mat, the edge of the mat, and just see if you can touch your heel off the front, and then maybe touch the toe off the back. So it's just not as technical, but it's possible. I'm going to go with the chair. I'm going to do a couple of chair because I really like the chair exercise, and it's less fiddly for me when I'm on film than going out to the stairs. So chair's particularly good for knee strength because you're really having to control the knee wobble, as you might find, and it's a bit of a glute activator. Do you engage the core in these exercises? Pelvic floor, TVA. You can use your arms as well. If you want to challenge yourself, you can cross your arms on the chairs or the stairs exercise. And that will challenge you more on your balance. These are the sort of exercises the physio gives you and you just never do, aren't they? I know. Physio's like, yeah, and then you do these exercises 4 times of the day. And they'll give you something like 3 times 20 repetitions 4 times of the day. And you're like, no, I never do that. So I'll wait a little bit longer, wait for some people to catch up, come back to join us. So coming back to a little bit more work with balance, we're going to go to the closed eyes balance. I'm going to give you another mudra and it's called Ganesh. So this one, you take the fingers and you interlink them, and it doesn't matter which way around. It doesn't matter. We'll do one way and we'll do one the other. So interlink, shoulders down and back. So do a little bit of a shoulder circle. Now what you're going to do is send the elbows away from each other. So you're kind of pulling on your fingertips. So there's kind of like this tension. You might feel it on the backs of the shoulders. So you're holding this, and we'll do some balance exercises. This is Ganesh, and this one, you can imagine and visualize your life, your path, having no barriers, which is what Ganesh is all about. So you can do that with any goal that you might have. So anyway, holding in Ganesh then, just take the weight onto one foot. Keep sending the elbows apart. Use your pelvic floor, pull in. Use your big toe as a bit of an anchor. Close your eyes. So if you can hold that for 5 seconds. Then as you open your eyes, it's 5 heel lifts. Try and roll through the center of the foot, the ball of the foot over towards the big toe. Holding, if you can, keep holding Ganesh at the heart center. This idea that you can overcome any barriers. Then just step the other foot in front. You might want to remember, so I've just stepped, I'm on my left, I was balancing on my left and my right's over the front. Do just try and make a mental note. Interlink the fingers, reach up. Big super stretch, and then breathing out, release the hands, sweep down, maybe brush fingertips, you can soften knees. And this is where you should feel IT band stretch on the side of the back leg. Try and tuck your chin towards your chest so you're looking at your knees. And then it's just a slow uncurl back up to standing. Then bring that foot back round, go into your balance on this side. And again, interlink your fingers, find your Ganesh. Shoulders down and back. Find the core. Now you might want to take Ganesh the other fingers the other way around. So you might want to switch it around. Then drawing the elbows apart, find core, and then just see if you can close your eyes, count to 5. Try and slow down the breath. Then once you've done your 5, it's your 5 heel lifts. Think about the pelvic floor, think about squeezing in the glutes. We're trying to get those connections from the feet up towards the glutes and core just a little bit more clearer. Then that foot comes across, reaching the arms up, full body stretch. Tuck the pelvis under, try not to arch the lower back in this, and then sweep it down. Chin goes down to chest. Breathing out, and then just a couple of breaths here. IT band stretch. Oh, my legs are wobbling on this one. Whew. Then that slow uncurl. Come back up to standing. Perhaps a little bit of a shake. Bit of a wobble, bit of a wiggle. Meet down in a downward dog or a puppy dog, so your choice. Legs, if your legs are a little bit tight, probably downward dog. Spread the fingers. Think about sending the hips up towards the ceiling. Try and get this nice straight line almost from the fingers, the hands up towards the hips. Going up the shoulders. If we're a little bit tight, we might walk through dog. Sending one heel down and then the other heel down. Quite invigorating dog, so obviously all the blood goes down towards the brain. You got the hips higher than the heart. One more breath, and then we're going to bring that down onto all fours, hands under shoulders and knees under hips. Now just take a moment to find neutral spine. So if you need to pelvic tilt, then just find the core muscles again. So pelvic floor, deviate in. Try and get the crown of head in line with spine. So we're not in that position with the head down. So we'll do a couple and then we can put the band in if you like putting your long band in. So just slide one leg away and then just take an ever so tiny lift. It doesn't have to be super high, and then bring it back down. So it's a slide, tiny lift and then lower. Now just imagine we've got an afternoon tea resting there on our lower back. Any sort of wobbling and you get all kinds of things going on. You're going to spill tea, you're going to spill triangle sandwiches, scones and cream all over the place. Just focus on keeping that lower back nice and still, hips super still. If you feel like you've got everything nice and still, we're not looking back down towards the knees, so try and keep that eye gaze to the front of the mat. Just add in low handshake and then a gentle drift up, and you can almost go palm up to the ceiling, like you're just giving a little bit of a sugar lump to the neighbour's pony. It's very gentle offering. And you know, when you feed horses, you have to keep your hand nice and open because otherwise they eat your fingers. So just stretch those fingertips out like you're doing prana. So that, you can keep going with that. If you wanted to do the band exercise we've done this month, you just place that band, the long band, around the foot. So this is a little bit more glute work, a bit more glute strength work. And then you're going to push on. I know this band's going to snap on me. I'm waiting for it. Bing! And then push away. 8 on each side. Obviously you can't alternate, so you just got to keep working on one side. But the same thing, keeping that super still afternoon tea, hips and lower back. All comes from the core, drawing in. We got, a couple of people doing band. Otherwise, just keep going with the alternating. Or if you just need to have a rest, have a rest. Oh, I just had this feeling this band's going to go on me. I'm waiting for it just to ping. I'll just take the pain, it's fine. If it pings, I'll take it. Breathing out into your extensions. Again, eye gaze just to the front of the mat. Try not to tuck the chin or look back. Keep the length at the back of the neck. So, should be coming up to 8, something like that. On the second side, if you want to catch up, then don't worry, don't panic. We're going to meet in a low lunge. Step 1 foot forward, and we're just going to explore a lizard on this one. So that front foot, turn the foot so that your toes are off the mat and your heel's on the mat. So you get like a bit of an angle. And you can bring your hands down through the middle. This is quite nice, kind of with hips and hip flexors. Maybe a little sway side to side. Now, super flexible people, which actually I don't belong in that group, but they go down onto their elbows, so that's always something you can play with if you're super flexible. I think to get on my elbows I'd have to have a table or something. But then this is great anyway. This is enough for me. Then we'll switch sides, the other foot forwards. Then again, same thing, just take it so your toes are off the mat and your heels on the mat. Everything else is kind of hip width. Then bring your hands down through the middle. Nice hip opening again. A little sway side to side if it helps with your hips. And this is called lizard. And I thought we had a lizard on our front door the other day, but I think it was a newt, because we've got loads of does a newt come from a frog or a toad? We have loads of frogs spawn near us anyway, in all the ditches and stuff, so maybe someone could tell me at the end about that. But yeah, I think it was a newt on the door, which is quite cool. Okay, so from there, come down onto your front. We'll go to our swan dive exercise. This month we've done it in T-shape, so if you've got the space, arms to the sides. If you haven't, you've got a wall like me, it's cactus. So first exercise, breathing out, lift head and shoulders, keep the eye gaze down like you're reading a good book, and then lower it down. And you can go nice and light, so maybe go on fingertips here and lower. So So yeah, you might be in cactus. Try and keep the crown of the head in line with the spine. So you've got that length at the back of the neck. And just notice what else is happening. So for me, I always notice that my feet push down into the floor. So I'm going to try and just turn off my feet, relax my legs. Try and think about the core as well. So try and engage pelvic floor, bit of TVA. Now you can add to that, lift up the arms and lower. So breathing out, lift, breathing in low. And again, you might be doing that in your T-shape. Adding a little bit more, sweep the hands together, maybe palms touch, sweep them out, and then lower. Breathing out, lift into your sweeps. Try not to lower in as you do your sweeps, and then lower. Now options, if you want to put in your long bands. Again, you need the space really for the T shape for a long band in this exercise. But you lift, you can sweep the band back over the body, stay lifted, sweep it forwards, lower, lift, sweep it round, or just a T shape, and then lower. So there's an option you can put in if you want to try. Just think about the wrists there. If you're holding onto the band, stay strong in the wrist, don't let the wrist stretch open. One more, whichever version you're in. Breathing out into your extensions. Then the release on that is a cat stretch. So we're back onto all fours. Chin into chest, tuck the tummy under, pelvis under, space between the shoulder blades. Now your choice, you might like a little bit of a circle on the hips, or you might just like to hold the static cat. Come to centre, bring it to a neutral spine, and just take the one wrist stretch. So start with the fingertips, gently press through on one side, just so you can give attention just over to one side and then the other. Slowly unpeel, and then go to the other side, maybe noticing the difference. Just quite nice just to feel the difference. And then just gently unpeel. Perhaps a little bit of a shake. Okay, come down. We're going to go front plank. And then the first one, I'll give you layers. The second one, we're going to do some twisting to the side plank. Elbows into shoulders, pull in pelvic floor, pull in TVA, lift up hips. First choice. Second choice, a bit harder, the full plank, straighten legs. Now think about the crown of head staying in line with spine. Third choice, a little bit of a knee drop, keep hips still. We'll go for about 30 seconds. Keep the focus here on the particularly TVA, so that hollowing down to the hips. Kind of thinking where the belly button is, and we're drawing that up towards the spine. Try and keep shoulders down away from ears. So we're not in that position or hunched down. So shoulders down and back. Keep breathing. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Have a little rest, 10-second rest. I'll show you the next one whilst you're having a break. So same thing, come up to the plank, and then all it is a little bit of a turn to the side, a little bit of a salute and a leg lift, and then centering. So it's twist to the side, salute, leg lift, and centering. And now you can do exactly that in the full plank version as well. See if you can do it maybe 10 times, 8 to 10 times. Do the little twist and a salute. Now you will feel glute med, it's challenging. It's also upper body strength and shoulder strength. When you come back to full plank, just take a check you're not downward dogging or dolphining. So do let the hips sink down to test the core. And you might have your knees down on this one, that's fine. Again, if you just get a bit lost or you think, oh, this is so difficult, just come back to the breath and breathe. Come back to the core and pulling in. Try not to over strain with the lower back. I think I'm on 4 more. I know my counting is pretty horrendous. Quite nice, isn't it? Shoulder strength, shoulder stability work. Come to centre then. Release with the child's pose. So sit back towards your heels. Bring yourself down and just send your breath to the lower back. See if you can either bring your forehead down. If you want a little bit more shoulder stretching, reach one hand forwards and the other hand thread it through. And then do your sink down. Again, just keep doing the belly breaths, expand through the lower back. Switch sides if you're doing your shoulder stretches. Maybe 4 more breaths here. Oh, that's my favourite stretch, isn't it? Child's pose. Well, they're all my favourite really, but child's pose or pebble. I like calling it pebble. Okay, let's go to a side. Pick a side. Have a few bits ready. Just a loop band. Start by sitting up like a mermaid. Actually, as a statue, this is something I wanted to try, was a mermaid statue, but I never got around to it. Breathing in, reaching up, stretch through the chest, and breathing out. You're just going to thread this hand underneath the other arm and reach it behind you. Just go for about 4 to 5 of these. I won't layer it. Just think about this as a nice gentle twist for liver, for digestion. It's also quite nice for the chest as well, so you're really opening around the chest and the shoulder. A little bit of work for the neck. Breathing out as you thread through. It's quite strengthening on the wrist as well. Then we'll go to clam. So loop bands, if you like to put your bands in just above the knee. Go for about 20 of these if you can, if you're counting. If you just reach down, you should be able to touch your heels. Lift your heels up level with your hips. Lift top knee and lower. Now work as fast as you like. You don't have to go at my pace. But see if you can, kind of really get through about 15 to 20 of these knee lifts. So it's a good glute med. You should feel it around the back, the side of the bum. If you're getting it around the front, you probably just need to be like, as if you're going to fall forwards a little bit more, because maybe you're a bit too open with the hips. So easy to lose the core on this. And just find pelvic floor, find TVA. I've either put my hand on my hip and I push my hip down, or sometimes I just check that I'm just engaging particularly TVA. There's a bit of tension there. It's also a nice stretch on the neck. I've lost count already. I can't. Counting to 10 is quite tricky, but it's because I talk at the same time. But anything over 10, I'm terrible. That's why I don't run over 10 miles really. always know when I've done about 15 because I can start feeling that glute med really tight and then go, no more. Okay, release. Just you can leave the bands up for this next one. Or take them out, whichever. Lift top. Actually, I'm going to take mine out. I just thought my leg's tired. Lift top leg. Doesn't have to be super high. Lift bottom leg. Then lift up the rib cage. Now take some balance. So see if you can lift the arm up and over. Take a nice full body stretch, pull in on the core. Then just see if you can take a really big circle, like as if you were standing and I was asking you just to swing your arm around. See if you can do that lying down. Then back the other way. So just testing the balance. You might find your feet wobble a little bit, your glutes wobble a little bit. Then release and placing that down. Lift top leg, flex the foot, kick that forwards, point the toe, bring it back. And this is a hamstring stretch. So flex the foot. There's also calf muscle there as well. Flex and point will definitely engage with the calf muscle. So you flex the point, kick forwards, point the toe, bring it back. Try and keep this leg level with the hip, parallel with the floor. And that will test, obviously, your glutes to keep it lifted. See if you can get your leg up to like a 90-degree angle. Just working in that hamstring stretch. Just one more. Lots of control. And then release. So we're going to do those 4 on the other side. So find your mermaids on the other side. Mermans. What's the male mermaid called? I can't remember. I'm sure Dave will know. Matilda will know. From the Little Mermaid. Okay, you might be tighter on this side. It's your second side. Breathing in, get nice and tall. Breathing out, threading through. It's not Hercules. I think it begins with a H for some reason. Does it feel different on this side? For me it does. Try not to make any judgments. If it does, just allow it to be. Accept. Threading through, looking through, try and getting a little bit further each time. Long exhales. Thinking about all those organs, getting that lovely little twist, squeeze. It's quite a good one for the releasing toxins, this one, so maybe a good big glass of water at the end of this class might be needed. Then the clams. So again, if you put your bands in, get your bands ready. Otherwise 15 to 20. Get straight, get stuck in. Don't wait for me. You got your hands straight, you can touch those heels. Lift and lower. Again, just check that you're almost falling forwards. Either hand on hip or just checking that you're drawing in with the core. Think about the feet here as well. So your feet aren't kind of crumbling. You're not pointing your toes either. So a little bit of flexion in your feet, almost like you're doing the same position that you do when you're doing a bit of balance work. When we were doing closed eyes balance, that same kind of feeling of that little bit of tension in there. Really good for running downhill. Glute med, very useful. Control. It controls what happens with the knee. So if the knee's wobbling, so it's good for downhill, good for you fell running, things like that. Running downstairs, which I never really do. I always walk down the stairs. Sometimes try and run upstairs. I don't run downstairs. I've lost count again. Hopefully, I'm starting to feel like it's on about 15 now. Try not to look down at the knees, so looking forwards. Don't undo all that posture work that we've done. Yeah, definitely feels about 18 now. Okay, then the double leg lift. So maybe get rid of your bands. Line yourself up, use the front of the mat. Lift that top leg, lift the bottom leg. Lift up the rib cage, like you can just slide a little envelope under here. Arm up and over, take a bit of a squeeze, a full body stretch, find your balance. Find your core. Then just see if you can take a really big circle with the arm. Maybe stretch there with the shoulder and the chest, bringing it forwards. Then go back around the other way. Just test the balance. Try and keep that length down the legs. Keep the ribcage lifted. Centering, lowering down, and go to the side kick. So lift, top leg, level with the hip. Kick forwards, point the toe, bring it back. So you should feel a little bit of calf muscle getting a stretch as you do your flex. And your point. Try and keep that leg. It's really, often when I teach this in a class, I see the leg getting lower and lower. So really work at the leg being hip height or even a little bit higher, because that will test with the glute. It helps with the alignment. Engage with the core. 2 more. See if you can edge that hamstring into 90 degrees. Woo! Release down. Okay, go onto your backs. I'll just adjust myself. I'll check on the time. How are we doing? Oh, I think I'm going to end up going over time by 5 minutes. Sorry, guys. Hopefully we'll be okay. Don't know where the time's gone. You chatting probably. Okay, let's go straight into our 5 sets then. So, neutral spine, pelvic floor engaged, TVA engaged, shoulders relaxed. Do try and keep, so often what I see in toe tapping is a lot of people just bring, you know, the angle behind the knee just changes. So do try and hinge from the hips here, so not from the knee. So that angle behind the knee stays the same all the time. Maybe take the feet a bit lower down towards the mat. Okay, 4 toe taps, 8 pulses, and then an 8-second hold. You find your own legs. I know some of you like to go straight in on progressions. That's totally fine. I'm going to build it in, but you just go with however you feel comfortable. Okay, 4, toe tapping. 3, imprint lower back down. 2, and then 1. Lift head and shoulders, look to knees. Pulse these arms up and down. Keep the tummy still. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slide hands to knees. Find another centimetre from the rib cage to the chest. Hold. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And release. Here we go. And 4. And 3. Pull in the core. Imprint lower back down. 2. And 1. Ready to pulse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And reach. A little bit more then. Hold. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. 4, 3, and 2, and 1. And pulse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And hold. Teasers if you want to. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And release. Here we go. 4. and 3. Imprint that lower back down. 2 and 1. Ready to pulse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Last time. Just reset. Imprint lower back. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Ready to pulse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Woo. Full body stretch. Just give everything a bit of a squeeze. Point the toes. Squeeze the glutes. Get your shoulders up to your ears. Scrunch up your fists. Scrunch up your face. Big deep breath in. And then breathing out. Just let go of all the muscles. Feet turn out. Get your shoulders relaxed and heavy. A couple of deep breaths. Okay, bend the knees. Arms up to the ceiling. We're gonna go into this move a little bit quicker than we've done in the last couple of weeks. So one arm over the head and the other opposite leg straightens. Opposite arm to leg lengthens away and then recentering. So I've been layering it up a little bit more. I've done arms and then I've done legs. And we're coming into our last week of this these routines. So let's go straight in, see if we can do the cross body. Breathe out into the lengthening. Use pelvic floor. Pull in TVA. Try and keep the hips still. They're not wiggling or tilting. Try and imprint the backs of the shoulders down into the mat as you reach one arm over. So the chest doesn't lift or flare. If you've got all of that you want to add in, you go tabletops and then you go to that dead bug exercise, opposite arm, opposite leg. It's almost the opposite of doing what we did earlier actually when we were on all fours and we're doing opposite leg, opposite arm lift and kneeling on all fours. Same move, just on lying on our backs. Breathe out into your extensions, imprinting that lower back down. If you feel like that lower back's lifting off the ground, maybe go back to your heel slides a little bit because you just don't want to overstretch the lower back, have lower back pain tomorrow. Just 3 more. Long out exhales. Hug knees into chest, a little bit of a rock or a circle. Very similar to what we did last week then. Double leg stretch to shoulder stand scissors. Place the hands just underneath kind of your bum really. Tuck them in. Both legs stretch away. That's your double leg stretch part. Imprint lower back down. Bend. A couple of these. Then you can push into the mat, bring yourself up, support your lower back with your shoulder stand, chin to chest. Then you could take a scissors here, just think about lengthening through the stride, perhaps 4 scissors here. You can point toes, then slowly lower it down, bend the knees, vertebrae by vertebrae, bring it down. Then go to your double leg stretch. Now if you want an option in here, you could scissors in here for 4, in between your 2 double leg stretches. So there's a little add in there if you want to, and then you can bring yourself up. Now, you might not like a shoulder stand, it doesn't feel comfortable, you don't feel stable, then you could just work with that lower double leg stretch scissors version. Keep supporting the lower back with that. It's quite a gentle way of thinking about lengthening your stride. Any aspiring triple jumpers. When you go into scissors, think about the hips here, so square the hips. They will want to tilt to get, wider. And bend to bring yourself down. Last time, whichever version you're doing, last time through. Then middle, feet down, bend knees, arms to the side, so T-shape with the arms. Breathing out, let both knees drop across to one side. You can look in the other direction. It's a bit of a lower back release, chest stretch, neck release. Breathing in, centering, and then over to the other side. Just super slow and relaxed. If you feel like you do want a little bit more time on one side, you can always shift the hips a little bit as well. Bring it round, and you can always hold onto that top knee and just hold your stretch. And go super heavy with this opposite arm. You can sort of reach the arm really to the side or the top corner. So again, just choose what you need, whether you feel like moving, you want the mobility there in the lower back, or whether you just want to have a bit more of a stretch and a bit more stillness. So wherever you're at, we'll come together for a hamstring stretch. Bands if you want to, otherwise standard, hold on to the back of the hamstring or the calf muscle. I'll see if my band survives. I think it will. Push right at the back of the knee. We just hold for about 30 seconds, just a bit of a maintenance stretch. Perhaps take a little bit of a circle on the ankle. Do engage, so push right at the back of the knee just to get that central hamstring nice and straight, as much as you can. Length at the back of the neck, so try not to be in that position there with the head lifted, so the shoulders are nicely relaxed. Then just take that foot over to the side, so it's a little bit more inner thigh, inner hamstring stretch. Try not to let all of the hips and the pelvis tilt with that. Try and keep the hips pointing up towards the ceiling. Then swap legs, so about 30 seconds in the standard one, and then about 10 seconds with the leg over to the side. And push your weight at the back of the knee. Now just check you're not lifting your bum off the floor, your hips off the floor. So do kind of think about imprinting, use your core, imprint lower back down. Kind of go heavy with your bum. You're not pushing up so far to get to get further up here by compensating by doing all things down to your lower spine. Circling that foot, a little bit of ankle release. Then over to the side, 10 seconds. Try not to let the hips and pelvis tilt. I always start thinking about my dinner when I start stretching my hamstrings. I don't know why. Maybe it's because we're getting to the end of the class. How random is that? Oh. Okay, let's do a shoulder bridge quickly for a release. So knees, feet hip width apart, pelvic tilt. Kind of vertebrae by vertebrae, roll down, keep the control. Then you can send the hips up, take the arms over, length at the back of the neck. Just go for a really nice stretch here. So we're sending the hips as high as you can. Squeeze glutes, drawing the core, find pelvic floor. Big deep breath, widen rib cage. And then release that, bring the arms back down. Vertebrae by vertebrae, bring lower back down, hug knees into chest. Bit of a rock. See if you can rock yourself up to seated position. I have gone a bit over time. I just have to, I'm going to steal 5 more minutes if that's okay. I'm going to go for a seal. Soles of the feet together. So just before we do the roll back on this, we're going to go for about 3 more moves. That's if you want to know what we're doing. Just take a little massage on the feet. Pinch the toes. Go work through the toes, a little bit of pinch. Then with the thumbs, like circular motion with the thumbs, the big ball of the foot, just gentle self-massage. Then the arches, just do some nice long kind of brushing up and down on the arch of the foot. Then like little lobster pinching, pinch into the heel. Then just, again, just little circles, and with the thumbs, put a bit of pressure all back through, down towards the toes and back towards the heels. So take the hands, wrap them underneath, hold on to the feet. You need to be at the front of your mat. So you could just hold in this stretch if you want, or if you're going to roll back, lift up the feet. And like a seal with the flippers, 1, 2, 3, rock back, 1, 2, 3. Coming back up, lift up the chest, 1, 2, 3. Then C shape, 1, 2, 3. Try and get that little bit of a lift, so send the chest up, shoulders down at the top, length of the back of the neck, rock back. And then try and get to that hover. Try not to let the feet touch the floor. Oh, so much fun, isn't it? Okay. Just sitting up nice and upright. Feet flexed, pointing up to the ceiling. Place the hands down. We did actually do this one last week. Lift up the hips. Back plank. Lower. Reach the arms up. Then sweep forward. See if you can brush the toes. Lift up. Down to back plank. Okay, you've got the combination. As you lift up, this is the bit, lift up the chest. Then sweep forwards. As you sweep, think about sending the chest forward. So we're not kind of in that position. We're looking forwards. Options to add in: one leg left, one leg left. Getting that reach up. Sweep. Getting that reach up. It's actually really interesting how difficult sitting upright actually is. It's called staff pose. Just in that position is actually really challenging. Something to practice. Last one, sweeping forwards. Facing this way then, we'll finish on a spine twist. Spine twist is actually, when I was talking earlier about prana and how when we were doing the mudra and how it moves around the body, around the spine, often use the nadis, which wrap around the spine, which we often feel in spine twists. So it is a good one to finish on. Palms together, length at the back of the neck. Breathe in, get tall. Breathing out for your twist. Centering, breathing, get tall. Breathing out into your twist. Two more. Bye, Joe. Sorry I went over. I don't know where the time went. I was enjoying myself too much, wasn't I? So just take that, what we did last week, tuck all the fingers in, but the two long fingers, place them down, just kind of behind the hips, press down into the mat, shoulders down and back, length at the back of the neck. Boo, this is called, this mantra. Visualize taking energy up from the earth. Visualize rooting deep down into the earth. Breathe in, expand the belly, lifting it up. Just one more breath. Namaste.